Hi, everyone. I want to share something with you, something I've been talking about a lot recently. It doesn't necessarily matter how smart you are, how talented you are. These are all great things: intelligence, skills. Maybe you're gifted at music or are gifted in some sort of thing that makes you special. You could have all the gifts, all the education, all the talents, all the intelligence that you want. And that is because I'm a mechanic by trade. I think of that as your engine, the thing that can give you power. And while that may be great, and everybody's engine's a little bit different, it's tuned a bit different, different sizes, different power strengths, as unique as the individual. While I say that, that doesn't get you very far in life. That alone. What does tend to get you much further in life is not your engine per se, but more your transmission. Your transmission in life. And think about this. You could have an engine on a stand and it can run and it can be very impressive, but it goes nowhere. You could be incredibly a genius, but without this transmission, you go nowhere. And I've met many people like this. What is the transmission of your life, you may ask? It's your ambition, your drive, the functioning parts of your character that enable you to see a task through. Determination, self-discipline. These are all various gears in a transmission. And I was explaining to somebody recently, you can have a very impressive engine, but one gear, and you only go as fast as your engine can let you. And while it may be impressive, in other words, you get by on your sheer gifting and talents alone, without effort. That is as far as you'll go. But let's say, for example, you may have a smaller engine. You may not feel particularly gifted in any area. You may not feel skilled, articulate. You may not feel smart even. Somebody may have told you things that you may be stupid or whatever. Okay, let's take a hard, honest look. Look at what engine you have. That's what you're given. And while it can be trained, it's only going to go so far. Reality check. A 1-liter engine can only produce so much power. You could educate yourself and throw a turbo on there, but it's still only going to get you so much power. Now, here's the bright side of all of this. Your transmission can be completely developed. You can add gears. You can become more self-disciplined. You can become more driven. You can decide to make particular things happen. And I told somebody just recently, I said, I'd much rather have a 1-liter engine with 20 gears on my transmission than a big block blown with only 1 gear. I'll get up to 200 miles an hour with that 1-liter and a good transmission than a big block with only 1 gear. Now, granted, it may take longer. It may take you shifting through 20 gears, but you'll get there. And that's the beautiful thing. I've been learning more and more. Some of the great entrepreneurs were not very well educated, if educated much at all. there's a lot to be said for determination. More stories of success are built on a good transmission rather than a big engine. I've known people that I would qualify as genius, both with a transmission and without. My friend James, who I've not seen for nearly 20 years now, had both. Genius guy. Absolutely brilliant. And driven. Ambitious. Disciplined. An incredible person. While I talk to you about your skills and your talents, your engine versus your character, your transmission, all this is driven toward a goal, toward reaching some sort of success. And while it's not a bad idea ever to reach towards success, you have to ask, what is the goal? What is behind the steering wheel of your life? I couldn't tell you who quoted this, but I've loved this quote ever since. I've heard it said, the only thing worse than incompetence is industrialized incompetence. In other words, it's bad enough if you make mistakes and you go down the wrong path. But what's worse is you lead people with you down that wrong path. Ask yourself, what is behind the steering wheel of your life? What is the purpose and the drive of your goals in life? Do you even have goals? Right now, I've been going through a process of understanding the limitations that I felt upon myself were in fact very real brick walls. That dreams that I had as a child were unattainable. They were the result of some miraculous circumstance, fortunate decision, but they were not available to me. I'm going over memories of my childhood. I remember getting a special field trip from my kindergarten teacher 30-something years ago, and he took me for a ride in his little airplane. It was the coolest thing ever. And back then, and up until more recently, until the last couple years, I thought to myself, that could never be me. Airplanes are for the super rich. They're not for me. I am not that person. Nowadays, I'm actually planning on buying an airplane. Things like when I went to school, I had planned on going to college. And shockingly enough, I come to find out nowadays, I could have had a very well pick of colleges with my particular scores and whatnot. But I didn't go. I believed it was impossible. I even had gone to the military and got a GI Bill and still believed it was impossible for me to go to college. Why would I even want to go to college? It's a great question. Well, I love learning. And honestly, I'm considering getting a job where I can go back to school, where the employer will pay for my education and get an engineering degree. Granted, I wanted to think about being a doctor, but this is not a job of being a doctor. But nonetheless, it's something I enjoy, something I think I would be good at. And not just a pipe dream, but something where I've been practicing learning how to engineer things, how to invent things, how to think outside the box. Our dreams are never completely out of reach. When I say this, my daughter would say, "Well, Dad, you're not Superman. You can't fly." And yes, yes, I am never going to be Superman. I'm not going to fly on my own free will without the aid of machinery. I can't shoot laser beams out of my eyes. But this is not fantasy we're talking about. That's the way a child thinks. In fantasy, we're dealing with reality, though. We're dealing with goals and dreams that we've experienced a taste of. Things that we thought were out of reach. Things that we put upon a shelf and thought, that's not for me, even though I want it terribly. This train of thought is not true. We may be born into a situation where we may not have money. We're not born wealthy. And we may not be born with a high IQ. It's great if you have one. Again, strong engine. But without drive, it's going to get us nowhere. We have to take a long, hard look at what our goals and desires are, whether or not they're good. Really, thinking about this, we strive so much for wealth, comfort, security, and these things in and of themselves are not bad, but by the means to which we can feel that we get them may not be good either. I'm currently working at a new job, and while I enjoy my work, I want to make sure to keep my integrity. It's not right to fudge on the facts to make a buck. So think about these things. I just want to give you a little thought from a mechanic's point of view on some life questions, direction, bigger life issues. There's many, many, many things and lessons we can learn from everyday life if we can slow down just for a sec and pay attention. I hope this reaches those that need to hear it. And I hope that if you do hear this and you do have questions, please feel free to ask. Leave a comment below. I'm sorry again that this is all black. I hope you can hear it as an audio recording. And know that dreams are within reach. And that as long as there's breath in your body, there's hope and there's time. And reach out to get those things you really want. And ask if they're good. Me, I want to fly a plane. I love the idea of it. I love the thought of it. I enjoy riding quads and a motorcycle and all that stuff. It's wonderful, but I'm thrilled about going to a new dimension. Not just a two-dimensional plane of the road, but the three-dimensional action of soaring through the sky. That's one of my dreams. one of which are many that I intend to accomplish. Nothing bad. Nothing about controlling anybody else. Not about stepping on people to achieve what you want. Nothing of the sort. But something that in and of itself is a decent thing. Look at your dreams. See what's good. See what's going to do you good. And settle in to make a plan on how many gears you might have to add to your transmission to make it happen. I thank you for listening. If you listened this far, please feel free to comment, question. I hope to talk to you soon.